We were just like, hey, let's have people from the first responder community come on and talk about what it's like being a paramedic on an ambulance for 12 hours or being a firefighter for 24, 48, 72 hours and the types of calls that they see. And then do they get time to process that? What type of resources do they get? We saw a gap that a lot of these people were not able to get the quality care that they need.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to Lead, Grow, Live. This week's episode, we have Greg Grogan. He is the president of the Overwatch Collective. This is a great and important episode. Greg, at some point during the day today, said, look, I came out of the womb knowing that I'm going to wear a uniform. This guy is all about service and servant leadership, and the things they're doing at the Overwatch Collective are incredibly important. It's helping service members, first responders, and their families live better lives. I want to give kind of an overview, but I'd rather, instead of me screwing it up, tell us about what you're doing, and then we'll get back into like how it came to be.
Yeah, so the Overwatch Collective, it's a nonprofit and a podcast, essentially connecting our first responder and military community to our contracted and vetted therapists to expedite the process of getting them connected to therapists while maintaining complete confidentiality and providing financial assistance for them.
Where did it all start?
Unfortunately, it started probably by losing friends to suicide in the military and first responder community. And then June of 2021, my buddy Jesse and I decided to start a podcast to talk about the stigma of mental health, why we're losing so many people to suicide, and essentially to learn more about the different careers within the first responder community specifically, to see where the gaps are and then what can be done to help.
It's important, man. So tell me about your military and service background.
So military, I joined the Marine Corps when I was 18, went to MCRD San Diego, was an infantry rifleman at a reserve unit, 2nd Battalion, 23rd Marines, Echo Company in Northern California.
Yep.
Did one deployment overseas towards the tail end, a unit deployment program to Japan. No combat whatsoever, unfortunately. Now I see it as a blessing, kind of. It's like obviously you train for all that and that's what you want to do, but especially after everything with the Overwatch Collective, I'm like, maybe it's better off that I didn't and I just ate all the sushi and drank all the sake.
That's right. I mean? That's right.
Yeah. So after that deployment, I got out in mid 2019, took a year off, and then I joined the United States Coast Guard Reserves out of Port Security Unit 312 in San Francisco, California. And then actually this August 2026, I hit 6 years there. So now I'm at Port Security Unit 308 in Mississippi. So you travel to your reserve meetings and you're... Unfortunately, yeah.
I know, it's hard, man. So when you first joined the Coast Guard, what were you thinking the difference between the Marine Corps and the Coast Guard?
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, it definitely a lot easier, a lot more laid back, and they also take care of you more. They treat you more like human beings and kind of like family. Sure. But honestly, like, I think a lot of people are learning more about the Coast Guard now after seeing all the videos and
they're like, unbelievable.
It's kind of getting some more attention, which is great because it's an awesome branch.
Yep.
But before seeing all these videos of the drug interdiction, all that stuff, people are probably like, oh, the puddle pirates, like, what do they don't really do much, whatever.
Yeah.
When I went through like the delayed entry program to join the Coast Guard, it mimicked Marine Corps boot camp.
I bet.
Like it was tough. And it's crazy after being in for like 6 years now, like the qualifications and the training, it's pretty top notch.
Well, what y'all do is so stinking dangerous. You know what I mean? At high speeds. But what are you doing in the reserves? What's your MOS if they have that?
Yeah, they do. So I'm a maritime enforcement specialist.
Nice.
It's a fancy thing, but essentially you have shoreside and waterside divisions at these port security units. So there's 7 or 8 across the country, and they're strategically located. And essentially, like the waterside division is what it sounds like. You're on the boats and everything, and you're protecting the high value assets. You're doing your patrollings, and then you're doing your interdiction and trying to protect the high value asset, while the shoreside community is in like a fixed fighting position. So you have an M240 or you have a 50 cal machine gun and you're essentially the last line of defense for a high value asset.
Yep.
So that's one task. And then the other is like close quarter battle, personnel searches, vehicle searches, gaining entry onto bases and all that stuff. So essentially we would be able to deploy to any location, set up a forward operating base, and then the shoreside division would be able to set up the barriers, the sniper screening, all that stuff, and then like basically set up the entry control point operations to get in and out of the base.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really
it's
cool.
Fun. Honestly, I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. See you in 10 years.
Yeah, 8 years. I'm counting down until we hit 20.
Yeah, I know, man. It's worth it though. It is so worth it. I wish I would have stayed in. You know?
And how many years did you do?
I was 4 years active duty. I did it really because I flunked out of school. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get my act together, and thankfully I did.
Yeah.
But combat has a way of doing that, doesn't it? And then so you get out of, well, you're in the reserves, but you become a police officer, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I was in the police academy before I could actually legally drink alcohol.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I was in there just before I turned 21. So I had to take off 6 months from drilling in the Marine Corps to go to the police academy. Yeah. And then got through the police academy, and then I was a brand new 21-year-old cop going to calls, pretending like I knew what I was doing, but exactly. I had no life experience. So I was making shit up as I went. But yeah, so I was working weekend graveyard, and then 1 weekend a month I was doing the Marine Corps drill stuff.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, to say that you're service oriented and a service leader is an understatement. So I see where your background comes. And so you and your friend Jesse are hanging out one day and talking about how crazy it is, because PTSD, trauma, the inability to find quality care, it's a problem. Mm-hmm. But unlike most people, you're doing something about it. So it started off as a podcast, and then what happened? How did it evolve?
Yeah, correct. So it started as a podcast in 2021, and we really didn't have a drive or known direction. We were just like, hey, let's have people from the first responder community come on and talk about what it's like being a paramedic on an ambulance for 12 hours or being a firefighter for 24, 48, 72 hours, and the types of calls that they see. And then do they get time to process that? What type of resources do they get? And then what are some things that they want the community to kind of know, like, hey, this is what we struggle with in silence. So we had everybody on in the first responder community on. We had an Army combat veteran. We had a spouse of a first responder who unfortunately died by suicide. So we had her on. And then people started donating, and they're like, hey, keep it up. We don't know what this money's going towards, but keep it up. And we're like, neither do we. And then it got to the point where we realized from the prior podcast that we saw a gap that a lot of these people were not able to get the quality care that they need. So we're like, hey, what if we can contract with some therapists and then help connect our community to them and then somehow financially assist them to go? Yeah. We had no idea what that looked like, right? Like you're looking at two prior Marines who are now in the Coast Guard, and then I'm a police officer. Like I give me a rifle and give me a LiDAR to give speeding tickets. That's about all I know. Other than that, like nonprofit stuff, I did not know anything, and neither did Jesse. But we figured it out. We got a board of directors. We became official 501c3 nonprofit in August of 2022. Contracted our first therapist, and then we started a website, filled it out, had a form ready for people to fill out to get connected to that therapist. And then from there on, it was, now we had 2 therapists, 3 therapists and all that.
Yeah, what important work, and it doesn't just happen. You guys have been driving it. And so tell me about the network of therapists. What is your coverage, throughout the United States, and what do you need? Because, man, you're doing something right. And see, me with a business podcast, there are definitely efforts that you're making and successes you're having that translate to business, and business can translate to what you're doing. So tell me about the coverage and what y'all are doing with the therapist.
Yeah, good question. So as of now, we cover 49 states. we're missing Hawaii, that little odd one that's out on the island.
Yeah.
It's kind of fitting actually that we're just missing that one. So we cover 49 states, and then we have over 75 contracted therapists as of now. We're very heavy in the state of California because that's where we first started.
Sure.
And that's kind of where talk is primarily known. So we have over 10 contracted therapists in the state of California. There are some states where we only have one, and then like in Louisiana, I think we have 5, for example. So it kind of ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And then our goal is to have 3 to 5 in every single state. And then I'll do a podcast with every single one of them.
Yeah.
So you can essentially go on the website, click whatever state that you're in, scroll through 3, 4, or 5 therapists, and then you could see a photo, a bio. Obviously, you can find their social media and like their LinkedIn and stuff. But if you want to learn a little bit more, you can go listen or watch a podcast with him or her just to kind of learn a little bit more about that therapist before you go sit across from them on the couch or on the computer if you're doing it virtually.
Yeah.
And that first therapy session is kind of like, okay, you're learning about them as well, where it's like you already know about them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're increasing the odds of it being successful and
Exactly.
not having that disconnect.
Correct. That's the whole goal, because our community, it's such a challenge for us to raise our hand and say that you need help or you want to go to therapist, but then you don't want to go through the employment assistance program. You don't want to go through the VA or your chain of command or your squad or your platoon sergeant because of that stigma, right? Or that fear of losing your job or not being able to carry a firearm, or people just like, oh, can we actually trust what Greg's doing?
Yep.
So you come through us, it's completely confidential, and you don't have to worry about whether the therapist is going to understand what you go through, because we do that for you.
Yeah. And that's huge.
Yeah.
And stigma, you think here we are in 2026 and there's not any stigma, or there shouldn't be. There still is, and it's still hard with therapists though. Are you guys looking, this is sort of a marketing question. Military bases, especially on the coast, are huge. We have some in the middle of the country. Is that where you're targeting getting therapists? Because look, I am sitting there and I served with people from Montana and Rhode Island. So they go back home and it's when they disconnect is where they have the problem. So what's the strategy, and can I help with that in any kind of way?
Yeah, very good question. Nobody's ever actually asked me that before. So we have not been strategic in that aspect of like contracting therapists near military bases, for example. We go after licensed therapists that are contracted in this or licensed in the state. So for example, like Camp Pendleton,
correct.
29 Palms, therapists that are licensed in California, if they happen to be in like the Southern Californian area and can see that service member in person, great. If not, then we offer virtual as well. That's one of the good things that came out of COVID.
Virtual is a big deal, man.
Yes.
Virtual
that's
is
what
a
I
big
did
deal.
when I went to therapy. I went through virtual, and he was actually in Long Beach, California, where my brother lives, and I was in, you know what I mean? So, So yeah, that's one of the good things that came out of COVID. But yeah, to answer your question, we're not doing anything strategic where we're looking at bases and then trying to find a therapist near those bases. We're just looking for therapists that are licensed in the state of North Dakota or Minnesota, et cetera.
If I can, let me switch to volunteers, because I really want to help in any way I can. Are you creating a network of volunteers to kind of do some of the legwork, make the phone calls, do the research, anything like that?
Yeah, we do. So we have members at large, is what you call it, through a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
Something still new to me, But yeah, so we have our core board of directors, and then we have members at large. So I've tried a few times, and it's very difficult with this community because we're so tapped out on our full-time careers.
Sure.
Where I've tried to put together a fundraising team, for example, where it's people within the first responder community. And I'm like, hey, on your off time or when you have some free time, here's a template saying, hey, this is our mission. This is what we do. This is what we're asking for. And then if you donate or if you do XYZ, we'll provide you with the donor letter for a tax deduction for fiscal year 2025, for example.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like in the military, like you want to delegate things. But then if you go to delegate things and it's not done correctly or they don't do well.
Juice, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I kind of went through that 2 times where I tried to putting together like a fundraising team, primarily because fundraising is a challenge, and without funding, you can't continue. But yeah, we definitely have positions available if people are interested in cold calling or cold emailing. I mean, we have all of our templates set up and everything, so it makes it super easy.
So when I'm working with clients, often I'll say, look, you need to find a cause. There's so many companies that do a really good job of explaining which cause they support. And so maybe there's a way to get with other podcasts, with other companies and say, look, some of our proceeds go to this or that. So anyway, I'm not trying to solve all your problems, but
hey, if you solve that one, that would help.
Well, it's necessary. We have to raise funds to grow. And then, like you said, you got a full-time job as a police officer. What does Jesse do for it?
So he's active duty Coast Guard right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's out on the East Coast.
So how did this, speaking of that, I mean, everything you have done has been service oriented. How that doesn't happen by mistake. Tell me what attracted you to service? Yeah,
probably my entire family line. So I was born and raised into a big military and first responder family. So I can go down the list, but it's easier just to say like everybody.
They want to hear their names though.
Yeah, they do. Okay, my dad, Mike Grogan, police officer, Army or Coast Guard, then Army, chief warrant officer, and then
wow.
Yeah, aunt works in the ER room. So 4th generation law enforcement, 3rd generation military, and then my brother became a firefighter in Southern California, the smart one of the family, like I said.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's kind of all that we know. My mom was a teacher as well. She worked with special eds kids. And now my wife's a therapist, specializing in first responder and military community and working in trauma. And she offers free therapy for veterans. So, yeah, I'm surrounded by service.
Yeah. And I love that. And I appreciate it more than you know. That's and so will anybody watching this. Mm-hmm. So let's go and let's now talk about the actual service members who receive the benefits of what the Overwatch Collective is doing. Who do you identify as, I guess, who warrants the support?
Yeah, very good question. So we did have to strengthen our criteria for who we approve for financial assistance to work with one of our therapists, probably as most recent as a year ago. When we did see some financial assistance or financial funding strains, we kind of had to strengthen our criteria a little bit, because when we first started out, like I said, we didn't really know too much about what we were doing, and we just wanted to help everybody. So it's kind of like, hey, I'm having problems drinking, or I'm having problems with my relationship. Can I go to therapy? We're like, yeah, cool. And then we'd update our therapy statistics and we're like, sick, we're at $10,000 spent in therapy. And then when we kind of hit our low of like 20,000 in our bank, and we were like, okay, pause funding therapy. We need to focus on grants, donations. And then once we get enough money, then we'll open back up. So that happened. And then when we opened back up, we changed our criteria up a little bit just so we can ensure that our money goes further and we can help more people. But we also wanted to prioritize helping those first responders and service members that had specific job-related trauma, that were struggling with post-traumatic stress, who were having suicidal ideation. So I don't want to say it's not like we're taking those members that are like, oh, I'm having problems drinking, or I'm having problems with my relationship, but we're so limited on who we can kind of help that we want to help the ones that are really struggling, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So now our criteria is to be accepted to go to therapy through the Overwatch Collective. You have to be an active or retired first responder or service member who wants to work on job-related trauma. And then you have to state like why you need financial assistance as well. So, which is pretty easy for our community, because like as an E6 over 10 years in the military, you can do a quick Google search and find out how much I make on a drill weekend. And then you type in your zip code for BAH and you can figure out active duty. And then all of our firefighters and cops are buying trucks, lifting the trucks, or new pistols, or all that stuff. So yeah, active retired first responder service member. And then also we do help out family members. So family member, spouse, significant other of a first responder or service member who's been killed in the line of duty, killed in combat, or suicide.
Yeah.
So we'll
yeah.
also get them connected to our therapist and then fund them to go to therapy.
Man, this is such important work, and it's amazing that you and Jesse have taken this on and have dedicated so much of your time and energy and probably money, you know?
Yeah. When we first started out, we did, and just like anything else, right? Like any other business or company where you're going to put out some of your own money. So yeah, we put out our own money, and then thankfully and it was like an investment kind of thing, right? And then when we were able to at some point pay ourselves back, we got reimbursed through the nonprofit.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's so rewarding when we're able to get somebody connected to therapy and like the process is actually what we say it is, and it's smooth and easy and confidential, and they have a good relationship with their therapist, and they're 7-8 therapy sessions in, and we get a letter or we get an email, and it's like, hey, if it wasn't for this, like this was my last chance, or I wasn't going to go, but X person told me to trust you guys, and I'm so glad I did. It saved my marriage. It saved my life. And we've probably gotten about 8 or 9 messages saying like, if it wasn't for us and our process and getting them connected, that they would have taken their own life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wow. So all the admin stuff and behind the scenes, you know how it is. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable.
It's work.
But when you get messages like that, or you get somebody connected to a therapist in 3 hours, and then they're able to contact the therapist and schedule their session for tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
To get an email back and be like, oh my God, like this was seamless.
Time is of the essence. Mm-hmm. I mean, in situations like that, you're building a network of therapists. You're providing services to service members who need it and their families, and you're doing a podcast. And you're trying, is your podcast your basic network and how people become more aware?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's no podcast like this. I mean, this is great. Like I love this, to have your own room, a setup and cameras and all the fancy stuff. Like I used to have that in California a little bit in the garage on a poker table that was half broken, where if somebody put their coffee table or their coffee down too hard, you'd think the coffee table or the poker table was going to snap in half.
Yeah.
But we honestly embraced it because we didn't want too serious of a podcast where it was like edited, like a Joe Rogan kind of thing. Like we wanted to be making mistakes and everything to keep it raw and natural and be like, look, we're just 2 dudes that don't really know what we're doing. Like we're figuring it out.
But we care a lot.
But we care, and here's like our mission. Like one of our first donations we got was to drink better alcohol on the podcast. So we were making jokes about that, and like a lot of people were like, hey, we really enjoy like the rawness of this. Like you don't edit, you don't cut the clips. Like if you guys make a mistake, you just laugh about it, and then you go on. But
yeah, honestly, I would say keep that up, because it's more real, it's more raw and authentic, and that's what people want.
Yeah. So yeah, now I'm doing it. I mean, my wife and I just got into our new house here in town.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's a lot of work too.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just me and a computer with a plain white background, and I put our logo on the videos and all that stuff. I use Riverside, which is
it's really good.
A good little podcast system there. And for now, until I get something more steady, it's just that it's virtual only.
So, I mean, I get the Overwatch Collective, but tell me about the name and how the meaning though of collective, you know?
Yeah. So I'll start with the collective part first. And I always say it's a collective effort to normalize mental health, to reduce the stigma, to work with other nonprofits, companies, other podcasts that are doing great work for our military and first responder community, where it's like, who would we be if we were like, oh no, like we're going to be by ourselves and just do our own thing? Like, no, I want to work with another podcast that's doing similar things. Another nonprofit that's doing fly fishing that takes veterans out for free for 3 days. Yes, that's what we want. And then we can work together with them. So that's the collective effort to essentially normalize mental health, but to save lives in the long run. And then the Overwatch is pretty simple. Like us being like Marine Corps infantry dudes, we're like, hey, you're in an Overwatch position. You're looking out for your buddies and you're taking care of them. You're like their guardian angel. And if anything pops off, you're essentially taking care of them. So,
yep. You guys do any events or anything to raise awareness?
We do, yeah. So actually, this past Friday at Rock and Bull, we had our first CEU event for therapists. So therapists need continued education units.
Yeah.
So we had about 77 people at Rock and Bull. We flew out our keynote speaker, Dr. Brooke Bartlett, who is an expert in moral injury and working with military and first responders. So we flew her out from Idaho to come present. And then my wife and one of the now retired sergeants with Lafayette Police Department did a joint presentation. And then we had another doctor, Rixie Albert, present on like the family aspect of first responder community and how important it is to be cohesive and work together and all that stuff.
And so y'all got that approved by what, the state's
yeah, my wife did all that. Yeah, my wife's like, she goes to all these CUs and everything. So she got it approved. So it was, so everybody got a certificate. They submit that, and it's like the Overwatch Collective CU and everything. So. Oh my goodness.
All right. So sorry again. Solve all the problems. That's a really cool vehicle into awareness for other therapists. And so, man, a CEU event in states where you need therapists.
Correct.
Shoot, just a traveling road show of CEUs.
Correct. Yeah. So,
holy cow.
So that's just the first one. And then I think we're going to do it again next year. And this one gained a lot of traction. We actually sold out, and then we had more people request tickets. So then we allowed in like 5 or 6 more people. So hopefully we'll do it next year, and then we'll be able to get therapists, some of our top contracted therapists from surrounding states. And then
absolutely.
The kicker is, if you're one of our contracted therapists, your attendance is free. If you're not one of our therapists, you have to pay. This one was $60 for the day for the CUs and everything. But and then at the end of it, we went through like, hey, these are the requirements to become a top contracted therapist. So
I love it.
Yeah, so that was that. And then we're working on the date, but it seems like October 24th may or may not work out. We're still looking at venues, but this will be our 6th annual fundraiser. So we've had 5 previous, and what we do for those is raffle, silent auction, a live band. Usually we do 2 guest speakers. So this year I'm trying to get a service member who was on the podcast who actually shot himself in the chest, missed his heart by an 1/18 of an inch. Trying to get him to come out and talk.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those moments where it's like everybody's having fun, eating, drinking, raffle, and then it's like, hey, this is why you're here supporting this cause.
Thank God, huh?
Yeah,
that's incredible, man. I mentioned, as a business podcast, you guys are leading without a shadow of a doubt. You're leading. You lead by example. You're growing. And then living, you know what I mean? It's really like, in my world, when I work with business owners and entrepreneurs, it really is about your life, because that's why you invest so much time, money, energy.
Yeah.
It's about living your life. You are giving life and extending life all over the place. And so I see that as your first objective, but your leadership is very apparent. You're just a servant leader. And it's like you said earlier before the show, you came out of the womb knowing you wanted to put on a uniform, right? But this growth thing, we got to grow it.
Correct.
We must focus and grow it and get the outcome that we're talking about. Any other ideas, any other ways to get whoever might be listening to this to help on that end? Because I want to help where I can.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that and the opportunity. And I think one of the things probably for everybody that would be listening to this, he or she either knows a first responder or service member, whether active or retired. And I always kind of go to, it's so easy to be like, oh, donate $50 if you're listening to this, or like the St. Jude commercials where they get you every time with the kids, where it's like $19.95 a month gets you a free t-shirt. Like, that's not where I go to first. I go to just tell somebody that who's a first responder, service member, whether active or retired, about the Overwatch Collective.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, it's this nonprofit that does XYZ. Oh, they have a podcast. Go listen and check them out.
Yep.
Because I would prefer people to know about us and to know what we do, and maybe we can help somebody. And then the number 2 is, yes, if you're
absolutely, yeah,
if you're a company, business, If you do have a good amount of money and you look to donate to a nonprofit or to a year or for Giving Tuesday, I can sit down in a room with you. I could sell you. I could show you pictures. I could show you letters of why you should support us, essentially.
Yeah. Well, I hope that people watching hear your message, and I love and appreciate what you do, and I just keep doing it, man. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
That's
the
too
goal.
important. Amen.
That's the goal. Well, I want to thank you for having me on. This has been fantastic, and thank you for the opportunity. And I know it's just me, like just me, like I'm the president of the Overwatch Collective, and I'm out here in Louisiana, but we do have a team that works so hard behind the scenes to be able to make all their operations happen. So,
yep.
And I always tell them, I'm like, hey, can you do a video of our updated therapy statistics that I would like to plug, or a photo or something on our social media, because I don't want just my face plastered on it. Like I get it, like I do the podcast, but I still want people to know that there's a team behind the scenes that do a lot of hard work and a lot of hours to be able to keep the train running. So
well, thank you for all of those guys. It is a collective, right?
And there you go. Yeah. And that's why like through all of them in our system, like we've had 307 people go through us to get connected to our therapist, and we're over $338,000 spent in therapy, over 3,184 therapy sessions, either fully covered or financially assisted as of now. So
that is huge.
The next goal is $350K, then $400K. And then once we hit 500, we're going to throw some party or something.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then things will rhyme with Illion at some point.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. I really do.
Well, thanks again. We look forward to getting an update down the road.
Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I tell you what, we don't often get guests like this, but if you think about his background in the Marine Corps, as a police officer in the Coast Guard, and what he's doing with the Overwatch Collective, it's truly amazing. So check it out in the show notes. And while you're in there, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Look, if you or somebody you know would be a great guest on our show, please reach out to me at jeff@companygrowthacademy.com.